Well, a good time to come your way again. And this time we talk about the Black Stars. Of course, a very tensed, tedious, and troubling start for the Black Stars, but ultimately ending on the winning notes with all the 3 points coming to Ghana against Madagascar. We start our World Cup qualifying campaign, the 2026 World Cup campaign, on a winning note, and that's ultimately the most important thing to look out for. And congrats to the team, especially Inaki Williams. We'll come there later. But of course, there are very few things that we need to address or things that we got noticed of from this game that needs to be talked about going into the games. We have a couple of games before the end of the year, as well as the African Cup of Nations. And there are very few things that we observed. Congratulating the team on this notes and to the technical team as well and everybody involved. I will start by saying that what I identify with this Black Stars team is that people talk about lack of quality, and I don't think that there's too much quality in the Madagascar team or Malagasy team than the Black Stars. You cannot say that there is too much quality in the Comoros team or say the Sudanese team than the Black Stars of Ghana. That is way no. What I find with this current Black Stars team, and I have been emphasizing this point from the game I watched against the Black Stars and Gabon in AFCON 2022 in Cameroon. And the point is that I think the team is too scared to be Ghana. The team is too scared. The players in this particular team or the team in its totality is too scared to be Ghana, too scared to play like Ghana. I don't know if people get the point. They are scared. There is some fear and apprehension with the players when they come to play for Ghana. And so you see that not fear, as in people are scared about what will be said, but you cannot see that imposing nature of Ghana when teams want to play against Ghana, when teams want to face Ghana, and the kind of stories that will send shivers down their spine. That's missing. That's completely missing. And so anytime the Black Stars parade against any opponent, smaller teams, not to disrespect any opponent, but the point I want to make is that the team has become so scared going into the pitch. And that manifested very well in the game against Madagascar. We start games, and this is not to talk about the players alone. Even from the coaching point of view, technically, we start games and it looks like we want to play to the tune of the opponent, and we are scared to take the initiative. We are scared to possess the ball. We are scared to impose our dominant nature as we have used to. You remember the 2010 World Cup qualifying campaign when we had the best of teams around on the continent. You go to venues and you want to play like Ghana. You want to send shivers. You want to intimidate the opponent. That intimidating nature, even when you put together under 17 players in the Black Stars, they are supposed to intimidate opponents. And this is a fear factor that the team built over years, that the team has built as a sort of reputation. This is Ghana. So when Egypt plays against Ghana, they should be scared. When Sudan plays against Ghana, they should be scared. That is what is missing. And that's the reason why teams come to Ghana or we play against teams and they are so comfortable. When you don't want to impose that reputation you have, and that reputation doesn't come by having star players alone. It comes when the players know what they are playing for and know the country and the kits that they are wearing, the colors that they are wearing. I think that the team needs to be spoken to psychologically on this fear factor that is missing. For most part of the game today, you saw that the Malagasy team were they were so comfortable on the field, and that is very uncharacteristic of Black Stars. They should commit mistakes when Suleiman Tari and co plays against any opponent. The shivers, the opponent commits mistakes, very unconscionable mistakes, because you are playing against Ghana. And that is why teams were fretting when the Black Stars arrived in their countries. And I've traveled with the team for so many times that I know about this sort of fear It grips the entire community of football fans when the Black Stars arrives. I was in Sudan, I was in Uganda, I've been in Lesotho with the Black Stars, South Africa. This is something that should come of. A country should not arrive in Ghana and feel so comfortable. Not to say the intimidation should be physical, but the show of aggression on face, the commitment to say we will maul this team, we will thrash this team, and it starts by the sort of play you set up. Why do you want to play two defensive midfielders in a game against Madagascar at home in Kumasi and pretend like we have some fear factor? I think we are losing it. And if we don't reinvent the wheel, one of the most important things about football is that fear factor. And Real Madrid and club sides, there are teams that use this to a very great effect. The fear factor, the fact that you are playing against them and knowing that they can score at any time. Even if they beat us, we've done well. So you go into the game with a defeatist mentality. But that defeatist mentality has come and it is now haunting Ghana. The Malagasy team arrived and said they are not coming here for holidays. They are coming to win. Because other teams have come here, if not for the fact that the game was played in Kumasi. So I think one important point should be the psychological aspect. If you have Kudus, you have Inaki Williams, you have Salis, you have all these players playing regularly. I'm not saying they are top stars, but they are playing for Ghana. Sometimes the names will not matter. The names will not matter. What will matter is the kits they are playing for. Is the colors you are wearing. That's one of the most important things. People think that it's not important, but to me, I've kept on emphasizing that we are losing our fear factor. The players must know that regardless of their level, unless of course they are not too talented to play for Ghana, and I don't think so. Like I mentioned, I don't think that there are players in the Malagasy team, Comoran team, the Guinean team, or Guinea-Bissau, or Togo, or Benin, who are so talented and committed than the Ghana Black Star players. But they are gradually, I don't know how they started, losing their fear factor. And opponents are now acquiring that fear and putting them in the Black Stars. They are transferring that fear factor into the Black Stars, and we tend to shiver. Players cannot even, possess the ball. They cannot have an interplay for 1-2 minutes. That is not Ghana. So that is what I witnessed from this game and many other games that the Black Stars have gone in. You are not playing against Brazil. You are not playing against Italy or any opponent. Even when we had that fear factor, we played against big countries and they were scared. And that is how football, you can only win on the field. Sometimes you win by how you intimidate opponent by your presence. That is missing. Psychologically, we need to reinvent that. Perhaps we get one or two of the former players who had that aura around the team and speak to them. You are playing against Madagascar, for God's sake, not to disrespect them, but you saw how the Egyptians mauled the Djibouti team. You cannot come here and say Niger, Djibouti, Comoros, Ethiopia, they are coming to Ghana and they are comfortable. No, there is an aspect of the game about mentality that is psychological. And so many national teams and clubs, even before you play them, like Brazil, you know that you are going to lose, and a loss is even, charitable for you. That is the sort of fear. So Madagascar should arrive in Ghana thinking that they are going to lose to Ghana, even if they beat us by 1 or 2 goals. That is enough. We should get there. We are not there, but we should start reinventing. We should start getting that sort of spirit. I am very much concerned about mentality when it comes to life and sports, and that is what I think it's missing. My point number 2 will go to Chris Hughton. Chris needs to be very tough. You remember there were stories about him getting sacked by the Ghana Football Association even before this game. You can clearly see from the analysis on social media and traditional media that a lot of people actually believe that Chris Hughton is the man. I am one of those people who think that he can do the job. We don't need to be sacking coaches, changing them every now and then. That is not the significant defect with the Black Stars. That is not the biggest drawback of the team's inability to reach the level that we want them to reach. I think that Chris Hughton, despite having this sort of support, needs to be a man on his own. He needs to be tough, take decisions, make the team more competitive, drop some players, be able to drop some players and bring in his own signature, fine-tune the team. It doesn't matter who is playing, who has a name and who doesn't. It's about who is making the team tick, who is making the team tick. Clock, tick, clock, Black Stars, passing, left, right, spreading, progressing, carrying the ball, getting into the goal area, creating chances. That is how we start playing games. We are in the World Cup qualifying campaign. So many teams, more than 5 teams in the group. And that is where we need to start. Win 1, 2, 3, then you know the other opponents are already fretting about the Black Stars coming there. You don't need to start games to please people. I find that he wants to please maybe some players or some people around the team. You don't need to please anyone. Even if it is 20th minute and you need to make a substitution because a player is not playing according to instructions or plan, or a player is not functioning in the system or structure, you have the ultimate responsibility. The buck stops with you. So Chris should be a man on his own. He shouldn't please people in the team because that will be his downfall. At the point in the game, the comments were that he deserved the sack and people were losing support for him. I think that he can stay longer than it is now. He can stay longer and build a very strong team. We know his credentials, but he needs to be his own man. He doesn't need to please people. And at this point, and where his coaching credentials have reached, he doesn't need to be pleasing people like this guy should play, this guy shouldn't play, the plan should suit this guy, shouldn't know. He should find the system that suits players. And of course, players who want to play in that system, even if it's 10th minute and he wants to make substitution, he's his own man. Take decisions that you think will have effect on the team positively. It's not about pleasing people. I think that I also find that in his selections a lot of times, and it's time that he needs to change and make the team tick. And most importantly, it's about creating the competition in the team. Like I mentioned, he had a very poor start, and it is basically down to selection. In the first half, the team was not taken, and you can clearly see that coaching plays a major role, a very significant role in how a team performs. And we saw that when he brought in Majid Ashimeru, who was much more a progressive player, despite not having enough minutes like he used to. Last season, he came in and we saw the change of face, the change of pace, and the change in transition of the team. He needs to be playing more, regardless of who sits on the bench. If this is the plan, if this is the plot that Chris Hughton needs to implement, and this is the player who implements it perfectly, why will you keep him on the bench? And to Ashimeru, this is something that happens to a lot of Ghanaian players. You praise them 1 or 2, and the next game it is horrible. The next game it is horrible. I think they need to be consistent. We also saw that Usman Bukari brings in a lot of energy, a lot of vibe. Anytime he comes in the team, you can clearly see his impact. And whether or not he's a super sub, it's not my problem. It is about the coach finding when and where to bring him in the game. He has so much energy. We've already spoken about Ernest Nyama. We know what Nyama does in the game. Nyama is a player who wants to attack. He doesn't want to bring the ball back. He doesn't want to be having a lot of back passes. On the wings, in front of the midfielders, in front of the goal area, he's shooting. Very young, but he takes the initiative a lot of times. He wants to have impact on games, and he could have scored today if he had come on earlier, and he could have taken the Malagasy team on a very huge ride to get them very wary for the other players to score with him playing as a decoy. I believe that Nyama, the age wouldn't matter. It doesn't bother anyone to get him in the team and start playing. Also, I will say Baba Idrisu and Salisu didn't gel, didn't take well. Obviously, because they have the same kind of profile and skill sets. They are players who do not carry the ball forward. They would want to block the opposition attack and initiate the team's own attack with simple short passes into spaces, and not players who would want to look into the 18-yard box or goal area and send in that defense splitting passes. And this is what we wanted at home. And so once they have the ball, they keep on passing amongst themselves or to the back line, which will waste so many minutes before the ball gets to the goal area. So going forward, I don't think that the Black Stars is a defensive team. Whether Chris Hughton is a defensive-minded coach, he's coming to a team that is not defensive in nature and approach or in profile and in reputation. So he needs to learn how to balance being defensive, playing against Madagascar at home. Doesn't make sense. And their partnership in midfield clearly didn't take well for the team. And reason why a lot of players have said when they play with Wakasu, because he wants to defend well and still sending those long balls. Partey has been a very excellent at that when he has his day. This partnership between Baba Idrisu and Salisu was something that they would want to forget, especially in the first half, was very poor. Let me go to the point number 3. I've always maintained this, and I'll reiterate again. No proper team, club or national team in this world functions without a goalkeeper with presence. A goalkeeper with presence and dominance in his goal area. A goalkeeper with command. No proper team in this world will function without such a goalkeeper with confidence. And I think that Richard Ofori may be past his prime. His best years are behind him. But I think he demonstrated today that a goalkeeper with presence is all you need as a team to have the confidence of playing to the tune of what you want. Because at the back or at the rear, there is somebody to keep the ball at bay. Richard Ofori saved the team for many, many times before Inaki Williams finally saved the day. He was our man of the match for most part of the game. And people will have to go and sit down and watch the game again. We could have conceded. There were times that I thought the ball was already in the net. He had very brilliant 4 saves in the first half. The second half, anytime we attacked and we had loose back end, he was there to tighten the knot. He saved us on a couple of occasions. He may not be playing actively or regularly or not be at the top sort of league that you expect him to put up man of the match performances. But Richard Ofori, with his presence, and this is Ghana for most part of our footballing history, the Robert Mensahs, the Naus, the Ublites, the Richard Olele Kingston, the Joe Cars. The Samir J is a goalkeeper with presence. In recent times, we've had goalkeepers who would not want to talk, goalkeepers who would not want to command, goalkeepers who would not want to scare their attackers, goalkeepers who would not want to instruct their defenders. Richard Ofori showed today that you cannot win any championship or game without a good goalkeeper. And going into tournament and AFCON, I think that we should start thinking about the kind of goalkeeping profile we have. I'm not saying that people cannot choose who they want, but as a national team, we've seen from our past that goalkeepers with imposing personality and presence, does a lot in games. Cameroon have it, and they've had it for all the years. Ghana used to have it, like I mentioned. We need to start looking at the goalkeepers from childhood. Keepers who would want to interact with their defense, instruct them, command your area, put the fear of God in your opponent strikers. Then that's what he did today, and saved us before Inaki Williams got the goal. Because for any other venue, Madagascar would have scored before Inaki scored that goal. And kudos to Richard Ofori. I think going forward, there needs to be very intense competition in the goalkeeping area, and he has started that. Also, let me come to the point number 4. And finally, Inaki Williams, finally, Ken Arthur, Inaki. Everybody was chuffed. Everybody was pleased. And that is why Inaki Williams and any other people, a person around him, must understand the love and affection that people have for him. Because we saw and we've seen in games that he runs his heart out. He gives his all. He makes the runs like he does at Atletico Bilbao. He makes all the good runs. He wants to receive the balls on the wings, comes to the goal area. He's been missing chances, and I understand him. I said when Inaki Williams switched nationality that we have to give him a minimum of 10 games. People didn't understand. The integration was going to be tough. The acclimatization, cultural, social, footballing, everything wise, it was going to be tough for him. He hasn't played here before. He's not stayed here for more than a month. These things are very important. And for a country that we don't even have transition experts and integration coaches, it was always going to be tough for him. I'm very pleased, happy. Everyone is happy that Inaki has scored. Long may it continue. We have an Inaki Williams, very well-known striker or goal scorer globally. And if you have him in your team, he just needs the supplies. Like what Gideon Mensah did. The supplies needs to be flying in. That was a powerful header and a kind of goal that top strikers will score, especially at that end. That was 94 minutes, 59 seconds, 1 second to end the game. And that was what happened. So congrats to them. And I will maintain that this has been happening for a lot of time. I tweeted 2 minutes before the goal, people were dejected. They said we were not going to score. I said, Ghana will score. They will score. I tweeted, I put it on Twitter because I knew that it was coming. This is how we've been playing in recent times. Madagascar, Ethiopia, Angola. I remember 94th minute against Ethiopia, Madagascar, Comoros. These teams, we are always struggling. But then last minute, we score. We have to change because best teams, proper teams are not going to allow you because they will beat you by 2 before even you get your last minute goal. These are not teams that will be stressing the Black Stars. So I think that we need to improve going forward. And I praise the team, especially Inaki Williams, for going to that extent and getting into the goal area. The assist was super. The interplay between Niama and Ashimeru before, Bukari had it and Gideon swinged in that pass. It was super. But we need to commend Inaki. I'm sure that he's been relieved. That this why it's no more there. He's been the loads have been offloaded. His weight has become lighter. He's become to his normal self, and this is where it starts going into the other games. So congrats to Inaki. And finally, those of you who have watched the qualifiers, I made time to watch many of the games. Liberia, the Samuel Kayondo was almost an empty stadium. Nigeria in Uyo, despite opening the gates for fans to enter for free, was almost an empty stadium. The performance was insipid, listless, soulless, because there were no fans in the stadium. So many of the games, Guinea, I watched Sudan, Togo. But if you watched the Black Stars of Ghana against Madagascar in Kumasi, a game of less publicity and promotion, Charlie, Kumasi, whatever they have planted there for the Black Stars, whoever planted it, whether it's Kwame Nkrumah or Hinijan, whether it's Dogomoro of blessed memory, whoever did it, whether it's the soul of Baba Yara, they planted Kumasi people and Black Stars. You would think that nobody's coming to the stadium. You saw that before the game, and even after 20 minutes, it was almost like 40 or 30%. But then by second half, the seats had been occupied. The numbers had plummeted. They had grown in leaps and bounds. Everywhere was occupied, and you could see the tension in the stadium. Perhaps the 12th man, Madagascar, suffered a lot. And 94th, 95th minute, people were still chanting, Charlie, whatever is in Kumasi with regards to the Black Stars. Egyptian journalists have always been telling me since the 13th of October 2013, when we beat them ahead of the World Cup in Brazil. Charlie, Kumasi, there is something planted there. And long may it continue. Whatever is planted there, we need to put more concrete because authorities do not struggle to get people into the stadium. No matter how bad the Black Stars play, no matter how poor the team has been prior to the game, they are always there. And this is something that needs commendation. And Kumasi people, Charlie, Kumasi people, but it was super. If you watch the games across Africa, you may not get these fans in 80% of the games. And this is super, especially for Black Stars team that have gone to play in friendly matches Mexico, US losing by horrible and scary score lines and still come home and get like 90% of the stadium full. Hey, it's not easy in these times. So let's commend them. And it's always a good idea to be in Kumasi. And thank you very much. These are some of the few things we observed. So going into the game against Comoros, we should stop this fear. The players, their fear. They should just get their confidence back. Ghana is Ghana. Even if they put the jersey on local players or under 17 players, it is Ghana. You don't have to go into games being scared of Comoros, being scared of Madagascar. Open up, play. They score, you score. You lose some, then you start rebuilding your confidence. I think that the defeatist mentality and the shivering approach, some of the players like they've not played before. There are no better players in Comoros or Madagascar or Ethiopia than Ghana, not South Africa. They come here and then they start putting fear into us, the fans, and transferring to the players. No, the coaches must understand. They need to reinvent this spirit of Black Stars. Whoever is on the pitch must understand that they are carrying the game to the opponent. You don't have to be scared. You understand? Wherever you are, you want to shoot, you shoot. Muntari and Co. Go to South Africa, beat them at the FMB. All the noise there, the origin of Vuvuzela. You don't have to care. If you got beaten by Brazil or Spain, they have had a better reputation and significant history in this sort of mentality. But you don't come to Africa and get scared of Guinea, Gabon, Comoros, Madagascar. No way. We are beating Mali. We are going to beat all the teams. Like I've said, this US, Mexico, Canada World Cup, it's not for the players alone. It's for everyone. Everyone wants to have a feel of that World Cup. So the players must put it at the back of their minds. Even if we play 98 minutes, 20 seconds, 19 seconds, they have to score on the 98 minute, 20th second. We have to win the games and qualify for this World Cup automatically. We don't want to go through any stressful and strenuous, qualification phase again. And they can do it. Let's also talk about the pitch. The pitch. It's time that we invest some of our World Cup proceeds since it's still lying idle. Even if we are going to invest 500,000, get proper experts to come and resurface the pitches. Whether Accra and Kumasi, two of them for qualification. We are becoming one of the poorest in terms of pitches. You can see the ball bouncing like potato pitch. You don't want to have players with skill and excellence come to this pitch and they can't even pass. Kudus and Co struggle a lot to string passes together. But Charlie, we will qualify. US, Mexico, Canada. It is a destiny World Cup, not for players. Like I've said, the supporters have supported the players through 4 World Cup campaigns. This is a time for the players to support the supporters to also have a feel of the World Cup in US, Canada, and Mexico. Congrats to the team, but they have to go into other games. We want to see that against Comoros. Better Black Stars team, confidence, spirit, the character, the imposing nature, the domineering nature, the mentality. And Chris Hughton must have this in mind, that he must select his team to play according to how he likes, according to how they fare well, not who has the name and who doesn't. We are not here to please anyone. Thank you very much and congrats to the Black Stars.